So, is there
Oh,
anything I should stay away from in this conversation today?
no, let's go for it.
I love that. Welcome to This Might Get Personal, where two life coaches, Nikhil and myself, Ashley, invite you into our unfiltered conversations. We're here to support others on their journeys while still walking our own, sharing the messy, the meaningful, and sometimes hilarious truths of growth and transformation. So grab a seat. This might just get personal.
Let's get straight to the point.
This probably will get really personal.
I hope it does.
Today, you have made the very brave decision to share a very interesting conversation with me that we have actually not had yet. You are originally from India. Whereabouts again?
Kerala, which is south
Uh-huh.
of southernmost state.
But you were in an arranged marriage.
Correct.
And on top of that, you and your beautiful wife have chosen to be childless by choice.
No, it's child free by choice.
Child free by choice. What's the
Yes.
difference?
Childless signifies that there is something missing,
Okay.
and child free is just a choice. So yeah, that's just semantics, you can say, but I think it's more than semantics, in my opinion. I think that it is propagated eh, in our society, like we say mindless, we say all sorts of less. So yeah, I think I
Okay.
also started out by saying childless. It didn't affect me, but I think it was a connotation people got when I said childless was this. I saw people's faces drop. They're like, oh, childless. And when I said child free, they was like, oh, you're child free. Oh, why are you child free? And I think I like the second aspect because I think it provoked something in the listener. When I said childless, it became about me. And when I said child free, I think people started to pay attention because it's like environment friendly or like uh, fat free or things like that. So it became like, oh, what is this? What is this? It became more curious. So yeah, carry on.
Okay. So those are two things that you almost never hear about, especially in Indian culture.
100%.
And when you told me that, I think the last conversation we had a nice check-in, and somehow we landed on the topic of you being in an arranged marriage. And I did not know that. And
Yeah.
I think that coupled with the fact that you are child-free by choice is something I have never heard about before. And I think that deserves a conversation.
100%. I think it deserves a conversation. I think it deserves a lot more airtime than it gets. Firstly, about arranged marriages, and I think people might know, but for the listeners who don't know what arranged marriage is, it is an arrangement between families. It's like, say, Tinder for parents. The parents swipe left and right, and they decide that this person is the right suit for my child. And I am actually really simplifying the process. It's more than that. It's I don't even know how to explain it because it's different cultures and different traditions have been using arranged marriages for centuries. I mean, arranged marriage itself is not a new thing, but arranged marriages got a really bad reputation over the past 50, 60 years when people started to become more individualistic and like started to bring their own personality. I think arranged marriage became uh, something taboo. I think in the early ages, I think it it really makes sense to have somebody within your tribe or like your circle to be your partner because then you are part of the tribe still. You don't have any doubts about where they're coming from. And like when we were say hunter gatherers or like even in the agriculture phase, like you had the protection of the community. So it kind of made sense. I think, but for me personally, it was a very interesting segue. So I'll go into segue, but I'm not. This is not a diss about arranged marriage. Neither is it a diss about people with children. So let's just get that clear. So people with children, you can also listen to this. There is no, there is nothing.
I
There's
have a
nothing.
child. I don't take it personally.
Yeah, I mean, but the idea is arranged marriages had this bad reputation, but I went in with the cleanest of ideas where my parents, uh, I said to my parents, like, okay, I'm 29 years old. I'm not having any luck to find anybody. Firstly, I didn't try that much. Okay. I didn't try. Like, I have to be honest. I was like, yeah, I'm good enough. I think people will find me. Like that kind of, I don't know what I was living in a manosphere or man space where like it'll happen. It's just it'll happen. So I didn't even try. I was just like guessing. I was just guessing. Okay, someone will look at me and say, "Yes, I want to marry you," and I was like, "No, that's not going to happen." So I said, "Parents, help me," and that's great to have parents to help you find your what do you call partner. Uh, so they did, and there's a whole other side which is my wife's side, which I hope we'll get to listen to in later chapters of this. But from my side, it was very strange. Firstly, it was it was mysterious. It's like she was young, 20 years old. I'm 29 or 28, 2021 she was, and I'm like meeting her for the first time. And on a Zoom call or Skype call, shall I say? It was Skype. You remember Skype? Yeah, Skype
Okay.
call.
A minute ago.
So Skype, and it was unclear. Like we didn't have the clarity of these videos. So like I kind of saw some person sitting there with very poor audio and video, and I was like, yeah, this is the person. This is it. Said yes, and my parents said yes, and their parents said yes, and everything was yeah, hunky dory. Let's get married, and everything became a festival, and it just 2,000 people come into the wedding, and I didn't even turn up for my I didn't even turn up for my engagement. So my engagement happened without me, by choice, by the way. So like it's not like
Because what?
because my visa wasn't my passport was stuck with the visa office, so I couldn't go back to India. So that's why.
So
Otherwise,
not 100% by choice, but you couldn't make your own arrangement.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Not choice. Oh, I meant okay, not choice. Oh no, it's not choice. It was circumstantial. That's what the idea.
Okay.
So circumstantial, and yeah, I would have been there if I would have been there if I had the choice. Is my point.
Okay. Got it.
And yeah, so we got married in 2013. I was living in the UK, and then my wife Hridya, she was coming into the UK. In her world, like, yeah, this is completely, we should listen to what she has to say. But in my mind, what she was thinking was like, new place, going to be vibrant. She's heard a lot about London and like the way of life. And like, I might mess this up, but still, she was thinking along the lines of those Bollywood movies where, say, Shah Rukh Khan, you know, Shah Rukh Khan, he's like leading. He comes in a helicopter, lands on a big yard and like in a mansion in like a castle. That's the, I mean, she didn't think that far, but I think she was expecting to be wooed into this London lifestyle. She turns up, she comes into this 600 square feet apartment with nothing there. Like there was no, it was just a man cave, if that's something which we use nowadays. It's like a man cave. It's just lots of little things, nothing, no utensils, nothing for anything. There is no wardrobe. There is no nothing. Like everything was just rubbish. So she comes into this and she finally finds her way, and it becomes a good thing. Like, yeah, arranged marriage happens. So the point about all this is, yeah, arranged marriage happened. And there's a lot of expectations in arranged marriage. So there are these tick boxes. So firstly, you get married, or your parents find you one to marry. Then you marry.
You say yes, you get a choice.
And I get a choice. Yeah. Yes, she gets a choice. And yeah, and then the expectation is you spend time together, and within a year or so, bang, baby, please. 2 years go by, bang, where's the baby, please? 3 years go, baby, please. And that's the expectation. So this came as a real shock for a lot of people in Kerala, a lot of people who we consider as our close family and friends and people who are in the immediate circle, because our parents, they did the right thing. They found the right people to get married. They're having a beautiful life. Their expectations are also important. So their expectations in their head, they're thinking, oh wow, it's a wonderful marriage and soon they'll be grandparents. And that's the kind of natural thing to think about, right? It's a natural thing. Like, so I don't blame
Cultural
anybody
expectations.
here. Yeah. I mean, because there was, that's it. Societal and cultural expectations. So they were like they were curious what's going on. And so 2013 is when she came. I think we made the decision in 2019 or 20. I think that's the time when we decided together one fine day. And it was such a random, like, day. Leading up to that, okay, 6 years we were married. There were probably conversations of bringing a child to the world about 1 or 2 times. That's it. So early on itself, there was this, let's say, conscious, or lack of a better word, intention for living child free. Even though it may not have been explicitly said, I think it was implicitly, like, we didn't have a discussion. I, for example, never thought about myself being a dad. Like, I didn't have dreams of holding a kid and like running around with them. And never in my 40 years, okay, I might have occasionally seen some happy couple and be like, okay, that's interesting. But it never occurred to me. And Hrudya has her opinion, but I think she also said to me, she's like, I didn't have that many maternal instincts. Like, I didn't feel it was something she wanted to do. And I also felt the same. And then suddenly we were like 2019, we just randomly discussing this topic, and suddenly we both said the same thing. We both said, oh, 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 child free. Oh. And we decided, yeah, we don't want to have children. And that's when we together decided that this is the way of life. This is how we're going to live our life. And there are a lot of things which happened after. We'll go into some of them, but yeah. So that's the story. Anything which piqued your interest? Did anything? Any questions you have so
I have
far?
so many.
Okay,
Thank
go
you
for
the
it.
invitation. What a beautiful journey that you just took us on, first of all. I think you just really redefined what a lot of people see as arranged marriage. I was in a long-term serious relationship also with an Indian man from Gujarati, and I have some knowledge of the Indian culture. I was also in India. I feel like maybe there are some people listening that might not have an idea, but like Indian culture is such a rich culture that has a lot to do with family and familial expectations. And there's so much beauty in that because you guys do such your culture does such an amazing job of getting people together, having all these beautiful, deep seated traditions, not only around food, but also celebration and family. Um, and there is such an expectation to continue that lineage. Um, I would love to know how how you feel about that on the hardest days, because do you ever have doubts about whether or not you made the right decision with childless or sorry, child-free?
Mainly due to my own self-worth. That's a different conversation. We covered some of the self.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
This is. I think it comes down to the expectations of a man, 100%.
Okay.
Especially growing up in a society where men are supposed to do men things. I don't know what that means.
Mhm.
Uh, and one of the things the men are supposed to do is, lack of a better word, help bring a child in. There's like that's it's like one job we man have to do, right? I mean, it's the kind of
Yeah.
expectation. I'm using a little bit of humor because I think these topics are touched upon as really deep and like these are you can't talk about this. Like I want to bring some lightheartedness. I want to bring this. It's okay to say that yeah, yeah, I was a part of that community where men supposed to bring things into the world, and one of the things were children. And when I
Mhm.
look back at people around me, my mentors, my family, people who I quote unquote looked up to in that time, yeah, all of them had kids. All of them were expressing their interest. As soon as we get married, we get a lot of advice. I'm sure like in all traditions that happens, like when you go to a wedding here, like there'll be like advice about how to conduct a marriage and how to live life, like how to share things, how to keep different aspects separate and private and and all that stuff. uh, but one of the things which often happens uh, in my culture where I grew up is the kind of extended family get real personal with people.
Mm.
They feel like entitled to ask these questions to not the people who are actually choosing to live a way of life, but to the people around them. So like they'll ask my parents and they'll ask my Hridya's parents, my wife's parents, all these s- stupid questions. They'll be like,
Like what?
"Oh, let's go deep into the questions." Uh, so first question, which I noted it down actually.
Because
Oh,
I'm sure some people are gonna be able to resonate with that.
why do they hate children? That's one question.
Oh,
Nobody has asked me.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why do they hate children? And I hear them, but they never ask me this. They'll ask our family. They'll be like, "Oh, does
Mm.
Nikhil hate children or something? He seems good with children, but does he like not like them?" And that's one. So that can ask. The second one, I will go into some of these, but second one which I like is, why are they selfish? They're so selfish.
Mm.
They're like selfish. This is
So much irony to that statement, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, selfish people don't want to bring kids in the world. And I look at that and say, is it not is it selfless to bring a child to the world? Like, is it something you wanted to do, right? So you wanted to bring a child to the world. So you are kind of ignoring what other people like. So we can say people who bring child to the world is also selfish. That's my kind of response. It's like, if that is selfish, then uh, life choices are selfish. Anything so doesn't work. So I invite people to who are listening and who are thinking about child free life, or have friends and family who are living a child free life. I invite you to think about these questions, how you ask them, or how you might get asked these questions. Like, this is not a selfish thing. This is just a choice we made at together. It is exactly like getting married. It's a choice we made together, and we choose to live by it. So it's not selfish. The next one is another one, which is, you will regret it when you are older. That's a
I
good
love that you're saying that, because that's one of the things that came to my mind. Yeah. And what is your take on that?
one. I have many takes on that. First, a personal take. So first, my parents, if they're listening, I hope they're listening. But if they're listening, it's interesting because they have two children, and oftentimes they tell me, we are feeling alone. We are like already alone. So like, I'm thinking, you have children, but you're still alone, or you feel alone. So if you hadn't had children, would you be alone? I don't know. So that's a personal take. Secondly, I think it's a it's possibility for any major life decision. You buy a house, you can regret it. You vote for a certain candidate, you can regret it. You study a certain subject and that goes out of fashion, you regret it. So anything can be a regret, but anything can be a choice too. So like, if you want to, same token, you study what you want to do, as a choice, and I stick by it for whenever I want it. There is you vote for the people you love and want to feel succeed, like things like that. So that is one. And it's not just, it's the fear of loneliness about it's a fear of loneliness within people that prompt them to ask questions like that, because they think their children have to keep them not lonely. Is that is that one way? I think, is that why you created children in the first place, just to be selfish and be there for you? I'm hoping all the children who are listening, please take care of your parents, including myself and my sister. So like, yeah, I'm not saying don't take care of your parents. I'm just saying it's not a regret. It's a choice. So that's a big one. And regret in later life, you can regret a lot of things. It's about mindset. It's about the things you do right now, which will affect you in the future. So I invite people who ask this question, won't they regret not having children, to reflect on your life right now and ask the question, why is this so important for you? Is there something deep within that you are missing? Because you are kind of projecting. You like, that question itself is like a projection. It's like they want you to feel regret. Don't want to say that, but I feel it's like, when they ask this question, is one of the reactions I get is like, the reason you're asking this question is it because you regret the decision and this makes you feel good? Could be. Or is it just a genuine curiosity? I don't know. So I invite everyone to reflect on that question when you feel like asking this question to somebody who's child free. Yeah, so those are like three. Any other thoughts? Any other questions that come to your mind?
I love just what you just prefaced there, because it's so important. Um, it's it's really a sad thing when people come from a place of judgment because it's really palpable in how the other person feels when they receive the question, even if it's only subconsciously. And it really degrades the connection between you and that person. Um, I love what you said because the questions that you just asked that what people bring to your parents and you, it's so real. And it's such a thing that I love that we're having a conversation about because many people go their whole lives making choices based on expectations of others. And I want to be a part of the movement where we suggest to people that they take a minute to just think about why they're doing it. Because expectation comes from somebody else's belief that this is going to make your life better. And sometimes it comes from like a really beautiful place of love and care and compassion and just wanting the best for someone else. Sometimes it comes from a place of fear and control.
Mhm.
No matter where it's actually coming from, I think it's just so important that we ask ourselves, is this what I want? Is this what I want for my limited, beautiful time on this earth that I am the one experiencing and inevitably have like getting to and having to deal with the consequences or the rewards of those decisions? And oh, this conversation can go in so many different directions. But as a parent who has a child, the very last thing I want for my daughter is to live her life in accordance to what I wish I would have done.
Okay,
Or
can you like
yeah,
explain
yeah,
again?
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So, um, a lot, or not even wish I would have done, what I see as a life that I want for myself, and then put that expectation onto my daughter. Like,
Mhm.
I love my life. I see myself as an entrepreneur. I see myself as like a good, decent human being. I see myself as generous, as hardworking, as um, all of these things that are important to me. One of those being a mom.
Mhm.
And since my daughter was born, because I am surrounded by some beautiful, strong women in my life, some of those women who are deciding to be child free, and seeing the way their families react to them and how that makes them feel, I decided I never want to make my daughter feel like she needs to live the life that I decide is for her. And so my daughter's 4.5, and my beautiful co parent would love to be a grandparent someday in the future. So would I.
Mhm.
But I realize that that's my want. And it's a want that I have that I'm not going to put as an expectation on my daughter for her to make a decision based on something that I want for her and not what she doesn't want for herself. Um, so I say when somebody says, "Oh, when you become a grandparent," which I know I will be a grandparent in essence to other people because of just my love for humans and children in general, but it doesn't need to be biological. And I always say, if my daughter ever wants to have children, if she ever wants to be a mom, if she ever wants to be a parent, if she ever ends up with a husband, like, or a wife, I don't know. What matters to me is that my daughter feels loved and accepted by me and feels that I am a safe place for her to come to at any point in her life. I don't care if she ever has a child.
Mhm.
And I f I I would be sad person. I would be a very sad person in my old age, laying on my deathbed, thinking that my daughter made choices that made her so unhappy in life just to make me happy.
Mhm. Powerful stuff. That powerful stuff. What
Mm.
you just mentioned, I think everyone who's listening hope they take this message. That is so powerful because I wish more people did that. Then we'll have a safer, more secure world. Like it's very transformative what you just said. It's like I am no longer going to project my insecurities onto someone else. It stops here. This is what you said. Like you said, yeah, it might have happened in the past, but this stops here. From this moment on, the future will take care of itself. I don't have to worry about. And that's powerful. I think all parents must hear that. Must.
That being said, like my parents never pressured me. I mean, I always knew that I wanted to be a mom.
Mm,
I love and respect and honor the fact that you and your wife never had that calling.
mm,
I always feel like I did.
mm,
And there's a whole backstory to that. Like, I had a journey of infertility and health issues, and then a surprise pregnancy, and all like that's a whole story that we'll get to another day. But the fact that you are willing to stand up within your culture and say, like, do the traditional arranged marriage thing and then do the super untraditional, like, no, we're not going to have kids. Have a nice day. Like, I think that's such a beautiful thing.
yep.
So if you were to talk to somebody that really just was a part of this beautiful culture of yours, that love their parents, that wanted to make them proud and was still struggling within themselves, like questioning, do I really want to be a parent? Who am I doing
Mm,
this for? Why am I doing this? I love my family. I don't want to disappoint them, but I'm really not sure that I want to be a parent.
mm.
What would you say to them?
Look, it's very nuanced. I can sit here and say, just challenge everyone and like break all the rules, and it's easy for me to say. I know how intertwined your lives are with your environment. I was kind of lucky because I had the opportunity to come outside of the culture. So I lived abroad. I lived away from my birth home for 20 odd years. So I am kind of outside. So I don't have to be involved in the day-to-day expectations all the time. So I don't hear these questions. I think most of the questions came because my parents were living in that culture. So it's very nuanced, very difficult. But the first thing is ask yourself, like, is this something you're doing it because it sounds good, or is it something which is inside of you? I think one place to start is like, have you had those thoughts? Like for me, I explained, like I never thought I would, or I never had a dream, or like I never thought of being a parent, throwing my ball to my daughter. Never thought of that. It's like it didn't happen. So maybe trust your intuition. So maybe see there if there is something there. And if you haven't had that thoughts and you're still being forced or coerced or being manipulated or gaslit into something which you do not want to do, then take a stand, then be bold. There is enough people to support you. There is no way anybody can force you to do something you don't want to do in any culture. Uh, so that's my take on it. I think, yeah, ask yourself, and most importantly, if there is a partner involved, please involve the partner. Make sure you are also like, you have to say this to your partner. If you are thinking I am going to be child free and the partner is thinking opposite, then we have another question to answer. So yeah, get communication lines open, get clear, speak about it, ask perspectives, but stay true to yourself. So like, ask your friends and cousins about uh, children, and like if you want to have family. If you don't want to have children, ask people who don't have children by choice. There's a difference. I think there are a lot of people who want to have children and are not able to. I think that is a different aspect. And I think there is a lot more compassion and empathy we have to bring in, and it's that's a different subject. But if you find people who are living this life, speak to them. You might get some ways in which you can work in that society, in that culture. So especially in the culture. So one of the funny questions I get is is funny because it's downright really bad. So I'm making it funny. You'll understand what I'm talking about. And the question is, what about my family name? What about my lineage?
Yeah.
What about my whatnot? And that is a tricky one. Basically, it's tricky because people are so invested in this lineage concept and things like that. It is pervasive, it's bad. But that's a question which is easy for you to answer, but the people who will not, people who don't understand it will never understand it. So there's this thing called blood relation. I mean, first of all, we are not connected by blood, we are connected by genes and genetics and like DNA, just to caveat that. But blood relationship and like that, a sense of what is your legacy, what is it. And for the lineage aspect, there's no right answer. I mean, there's obviously right answer. There's no such thing as lineage. Like the lineage is easily breakable and it's all changed, and like over millions of years we like evolved into like one human race. So we are all part of the same structure. So there's no such thing as lineage from a biological sense, but there is a lineage from a family traditional sense. Now my point is, if people choose to not have children, that doesn't mean that lineage is broken. You have other ways, other streams, other people, other ways that the lineage can still carry on. Just because this ends doesn't mean this whole lineage stops, in my opinion. So if you want to think about lineage in that sense, the other aspect is the lineage comes from this notion that like we are all part of the same gene pool, etc. That's a very persuasive. That's a bit racist, in my opinion. So I don't encourage that question. I just say there's no such thing. And if you think you want lineage, if lineage is important for you, you have to consider what lineage means. What is lineage? We all come from similar places when we look back.
So what does it mean to you?
So for me, it doesn't. It means I don't think of lineage. I think of my tribe. So who am I part of? So like the people I call close people. Those are my lineage. Those are my support. My lineage, or the way I think of my legacy, is through my work, my actions, my essence that have left behind. And it doesn't have to be human. You can leave behind lineage or legacy through other means if you choose so. So I don't believe too much in that. It's just a question which gets asked, especially in Asian, South Asian, traditional, fundamental cultures, is usually in the fundamental religious aspect, which we didn't talk about because I came from a Hindu religion, which I renounced. But I believe that there are certain values and traditions which are really amazing. And one of the issues is this concept of the lineage and like the blood relation and like all that. It just gets a bit messy. So that question, just be clear that there is no such thing as lineage, and if people want to know more, they should study a little bit more. So yeah.
I love that. And I think there's so many directions this conversation could go. We don't want to make this episode too long, but for a final message in this, what do you want people to know about you, your decision, or just people in general who are arranged marriage, child-free? Because sorry, I want to ask that question, but something else just came to me that I feel like is a more important question. Was there a certain point where you were like, no longer thinking about it, you just knew? Was it the conversation that you had with your wife, or was it something outside of that?
So that's a good question, because I thought, because we didn't have communication lines open. First few years of marriage, it was a kind of okay, that's another episode to talk about, like how arranged marriages and like how the drama works in that situation. So the first few years of our marriage were not really great for both of us. We both were not expressing ourselves, we were not communicating well. So even in back of my mind, I didn't want to have a kid, or I didn't want to have a child from the start. And I never mentioned it ever. Always like that, if the question comes up, we dodge, and both of us dodged. So it was kind of like it was kind of like a boxing match, but nobody's throwing a punch. It's like both of them are dancing around each other. It's like, yep, you go first. No, you go first. No, you go. And then it came to like a natural conclusion when we started to clear our baggage and started communicating well, started understanding ourselves a bit better, started to become more aware, and then we started to become understanding of each other. That's when we had this conversation. So if you guys, if people are, if partners are having good lines of communication, this is really important to have a conversation. Like, do not shy away from that conversation. And for me, I think I want to, like, after having this conversation, I am really keen to keep this conversation going.
Yeah. And it's deserving. It is so deserving of a bigger conversation, because you're not the only one. There's no way you can be the only one in here with these feelings in the situation. And as a person that's actually your friend, that we've had many deep conversations, I know you very well as a person. And the way that you talk about your wife is so beautiful. You always have such a wonderful thing to say about her. And it says so much about your relationship and your bond together. And I think that there's just a lot to be said for two people that are willing to show up in their relationship through the good and the bad, and just be honest and vulnerable and say, this is how I actually really feel. It took a lot of courage for both of you to finally stop ignoring the topic and just say, I don't actually want to have a child. In a situation, in a culture, in a relationship where it is expected of you to want to have a child, especially of her, like, so much respect.
Yes,
as a
that is
woman
the
standing
aspect.
up.
100%. That is the aspect we didn't even touch. Is the gender politics in child relation.
It's so much more on her.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. The questions. Oh, we should invite her to hear some of the questions she gets, which are like, some of the things I covered here were not that controversial, but the things she hears is ridiculous.
Well, if enough people resonate with this episode, I would love to invite her on here and have a wonderful conversation with the two of you.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for listening, for being curious, for coming and joining in on our beautiful conversation. If you have any questions, if you would like to have any further episodes on this topic, please let us know. We would be so happy to hear it. And we will talk to you soon. Have a beautiful day.
Oh my God, this just got really personal.
It got so personal.